Anyway, thanks for that response on beats. I just found beats so valuable in actually putting together stories, including novels, in the ways to emphasize that. And I think you have approached that very well. Would love to hear about your new projects, Josh. Bahrain, Lines and Ink and Lines and Sand, and also Stowaway. Could you give us a little background on those and what stages they're in?
Sure, yeah, both of those are recent projects, well, fairly recent. I just finished this journalism fellowship that you mentioned at the top, and so I haven't been doing any new work in the last 8 months, but now I'm sort of back on the at the drawing board again. But those last two projects, Stowaway was a collaboration I did with writer Tori Marlin, who is a journalist originally from Chicago, and it's the story of an Ethiopian boy who's basically sold into a form of trafficking, human trafficking, and escapes from his captor in South Africa and makes his way all the way across the ocean to the United States, up through South America, and it's all told in comic book form. It's all real story based on a real character, a real person, and that was published on The Atavist, which is an online storytelling site. And then the Bahrain story was also published online. Was nominated for a couple of awards and translated into a few languages, which is pretty exciting. And that tells about the Pearl Revolution in Bahrain, which happened during all of the stuff going on in the Arab Spring in the beginning of 2011. And that's on Cartoon Movement, if anyone wants to look that up, and that's available for free. So those are just continuing in the vein of the journalism that I'm doing in comics form that started with AD, continued through my illustration of The Influencing Machine.
Terrific, thanks, and best of luck on your new work and your continued work in the field. I wanted to do just a quick consultation because we're struggling with a graphic novel at this time, and we're going to put it on the internet, and we're going to and that's going to be a prime area. We're not going to do it in print at least at the beginning. But we started with this as if we're going to be in print. When we thought of it in terms of panels, really a comic book format page, and as we continued, we began to think about the internet, and we began to realize that 35% of my volume on the internet, which is now more than 1.5 million page views a year, is on mobile devices. And so if we didn't think about mobile devices and exactly how to capture that market, that we'd really be losing out a great deal. So then when we started to bring in the computer people and websites,
Bill kind of froze there. Can't hear him anymore. I think I know where he was going. Is
that still there?
Those techniques. Oh, Bill's back.
Can you hear me again now?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. We've been struggling with these problems. We're still in the early stages and can make a lot of adjustments. Things like lettering, for example. lettering on an iPhone, we can't figure out how possibly we could use the lettering that we use on a computer screen or even on a tablet. We're also concerned with whether we should use page turns or scrolling, and we keep looking at scrolling, and it just doesn't seem like it's going to work very well at all. Any thoughts about that, and can you give us advice?
Yeah, I mean, I would caution against trying to reinvent the wheel because there's a lot of digital comics, on mobile devices that are already out there. There's a site called Comixology, an app called Comixology, which is sort of like the biggest comics reading for mobile devices app that's out there. And I believe the Influencing Machine is going to be on Comixology, and a lot of work from some of the smaller publishers and also Marvel and DC. And they've, created a very intuitive system that both uses like sort of a panel-to-panel reading technology, so you can sort of tap on a panel and see that panel, and then tap on it again, and it slides to the next one, and so you can read each panel close up that way, or you can look at the page as a whole, on your iPad or Kindle Fire. And to me, I think that is sort of the standard at this point. There's also an app called Double Feature that has some nice interactivity that allows you to like look at a page and then also for certain parts of it be able to see the script that describe that page. If you want to kind of see how the sausage was made, you could see the pencil form of that page before it was inked, and get a look behind the scenes, sort of like a DVD extra in a movie or something. And Marvel Comics and DC Comics both have their own little app world where you can see their stuff. So to get back to your original question about even the way you draw, you construct the pages from the beginning. For all the work that I've done online, I also always drew it with sort of the hope or the assumption that it would be published in print at some point. And talking about restraints that Sari was talking about before, if you don't have some constraint to start with in comics, like if you just feel like, oh, it's an endless canvas of the internet, you literally could go in every direction. I mean, I wouldn't even know where to start. What would that mean? Do you draw? I still draw on paper. I'm very old-fashioned that way. If I had a tablet and I was drawing on right on the screen or on a Wacom tablet, I suppose I could literally draw infinitely in all directions, and that might be a really cool comic. But to me, that's like too much freedom. So yeah, I mean, I still think that there's something magical about the sort of the size of the page, the sort of limited number of panels that you can fit on a page, that motion of turning the page. Scrolling, I think, is probably not the way to go. I think you want to do some kind of a page turn. But like I said, I would definitely check out some of those other apps that are out there before you do a lot of work that you don't need to do.
Terrific. Thanks very much. I thought, should we be thinking in terms of producing we're going to put it on the website, and that's the prime area. But should we be thinking also in doing an entirely separate format and approach for the mobile devices? Or, I mean, I'm sure I can find this out when I go to the web, but I thought I'd just ask you, should we be doing two separate concepts?
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry. I meant to get back to your mention of the iPhone. Yeah, I wouldn't say there's really much of a market for reading comics on your phone at this point. I mean, it's just such a tiny screen. And like you said, there's the issues of lettering. If you format a whole comic specifically for an iPhone, that could work if you had every panel be that size and the lettering, set for reading at that size. But I think that puts a whole new set of restraints in the comic, which really limit what you can do as a storyteller. I mean, the power of comics is that you can vary the size of your panels for various effects. Right. You can have three teeny little panels and then one giant splash panel all on a page together. And they can all work together in really interesting ways. So when you reduce comics to just a single panel, one at a time, all the same size. It's almost like it's not comics anymore. It's some kind of you know, storybook or something, or just one gag panel after another. I don't know. To me, that's not really a market that's worth you know, retrofitting your entire story for the phone. So then when you get back to the digital, to the mobile devices like the iPad and the Kindle Fire, even the iPad Mini, they're at a size that's big enough, I think, to replicate the experience of reading a printed comic. I mean, you're seeing the lettering at approximately the same size when you read a book. And to me, that you know, it's just another way of, it's another kind of book, except it's a digital book, and you don't really have to revolutionize anything.
That's terrific. That's exactly what I wanted to hear. It makes my my future seem much more practical. I'll tell you that. Thanks. Thanks again. Listen, this is the time when we've unfortunately got to close out here. But I just wanted to thank you both for participating in this. It's been a pleasure to see you again. It just brings back memories of good times together, and I hope we'll get together again in the very near future. Thanks for participating.
Bill, I just want to say thank you. We're so gratified by the interest of someone like yourself, you know, such a wonderful practitioner of the craft of fiction in your own right, and enormously gratified that you've taken, you know, comics as a form into your domain as well.
We're proud teachers.
Spreading the gospel. You know, we had the honor of having you in our workshop last summer, so thank you.
Well, we should say that you're giving a course this summer in Provincetown at the Fine Arts Work Center. What are the dates, and so that if people do want to access it, they can find it?
We're checking on the dates.
I think it's the last week of July.
It's the third week of July. It's a course in creating a graphic novel from start to finish. It's the 22nd to the 26th, and we're going to focus on the same process that we put you all through.
It's fawc.org for those of you who are interested in checking out the course. There may still be a couple of spots open.